The UK government and Ofcom, our so-called independent media regulator, have just unveiled a set of sweeping new rules under the Online Safety Act. These rules are being dressed up as a way to protect our children from the nastier corners of the web. But let's be honest, what we're looking at is nothing short of a digital revolution, a fundamental shift in the relationship between you, your children, and the internet. Hi, I'm Christys, and this is GBN Originals. What's actually happening, why it is happening, and crucially, what does it mean for you, your family, and the very concept of free speech in this country? Those are the questions I'm going to hopefully answer for you now. Ofcom has just published a draft code of practice, 40 new measures in total. These rules are set to come into force on July 25th, and they apply to pretty much every major online service that you can think of. Social media, gaming, search engines. If a platform has more than 7 million monthly active users in the UK, it's in the firing line. The main headline here is mandatory age verification. So that means if you want to use these platforms, you'll have to prove how old you are, not just a box you tick saying, yes, I'm over 18. We're talking about highly effective age assurance. So that could mean uploading a copy of your passport, your driver's license, maybe even a biometric scan. In other words, the government wants to know exactly who you are before you're allowed to access the digital world. If a platform uses algorithms to recommend content, and let's face it, almost all of them do, then those algorithms must be programmed to suppress anything Ofcom deems harmful. And that is going to be a very slippery slope. But at face value, it includes content relating to suicide, self-harm, eating disorders, pornography, misogyny, violent content, and online bullying. But I think we can all see how they could extend that beyond those particular measures and really use that to stifle anyone who might have a view on things like, oh, I don't know, illegal immigration. Now, I want to be absolutely clear, nobody wants children exposed to genuinely dangerous material. But this is a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And as we'll see, the consequences go far beyond protecting kids. Let's talk about the massive elephant in the room, that digital ID. Because make no mistake, that's where this is heading. If you have to prove your age to access the internet, what's to stop that system being used to track everything you do online? In fact, some would say, we already really are, aren't we? What's to stop it being linked to your bank account, your medical records, your voting history?
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Once the infrastructure is in place, the possibilities for surveillance are endless. And don't just take my word for it, privacy campaigners have been warning about this for years. They call it function creep, a system brought in for one purpose, slowly expanded until it covers every aspect of your life. Remember, these rules don't just apply to children. If you are an adult, you'll still have to jump through the same hoops. The government is effectively saying, prove who you are or you can't use the internet. That is a fundamental shift in the way our society works. And again, do you not think this could be used for bad? So it starts like this, and then before you know it, you might be restricted from accessing certain websites during a time of national crisis or during a pandemic or during a war or during whatever, some kind of national emergency. They can massively clamp down there on internet usage and track you if you break those government-approved rules. Now let's talk about these algorithms, shall we? Ofcom says platforms must suppress harmful content. Who decides what counts as harmful? Is it just the obvious stuff, graphic violence, explicit extreme pornography, that kind of thing? Or could it include political opinions, satire, or even news stories that challenge the official narrative? Again, I'll drag you back towards what happened during the pandemic there, where everyone was terrified of commenting on some stuff to do with the vaccines. Everyone was terrified of commenting about certain things to do with the lockdown, questioning the science. And so much of that science has now changed. We've already seen how the definition of harmful can be stretched to include misinformation, hate speech, or anything that can cause offence. The danger is that these rules become a tool for censorship, silencing voices that don't fit the approved script. Now, let's not forget the penalties. So, if platforms don't comply, they face fines of up to £18 million or 10% of their global revenue, whichever is higher. So for a company like Meta or Google, that's billions of pounds, isn't it? Billions of pounds. Do you really think they'll risk that kind of money to defend your right to freedom of speech? Well, of course not. They'll err on the side of caution, deleting anything that might possibly fall foul of the rules. And do you think this is a coincidence? Mark Zuckerberg, head of Facebook, Elon Musk, of course, now owning X. Both of them have said that recently they are going to row back from censorship. They're going to row back from that, what many people would regard as hyper-woke, left-wing censorship of anything that didn't fit their narrative. So if they're not going to do it themselves, here we go, right on time, someone's going to try and do it for them. So for some companies, even these draconian measures don't go far enough. The NSPCC, one of the UK's leading children's charities, is already calling for Ofcom to go further, especially to weaken end-to-end encryption in messaging apps. Well, look, let's be clear what that means. End-to-end encryption is what keeps your private messages private. Now, if Ofcom gets its way, they could force companies like WhatsApp and Signal to build backdoors into their systems, allowing the authorities to read your messages. It's not just a threat to privacy, it's a threat to democracy itself. And again, is there not a better way of maintaining child safety than this? And the making sure that every single person's phone is basically accessible to the government or to the police. I personally think there must be a better way than making every single person suffer for the sake of this. It is an important issue though. So how are Ofcom justifying all of this? Well, in a move that would be frankly laughable if it weren't so serious, Ofcom's director, Melanie Dawes, went on the BBC and cited a fictional Netflix show called Adolescence as evidence of the dangers facing our children. Yeah, you heard that right. Here we go again. We're rewriting the rules of the internet because of a TV drama. Apparently this show has brought to life some of these problems of misogyny, pornography, violent content on our kids' internet feeds. So I'm sorry, but since when do we make public policy based on Netflix scripts? And if we are doing that, is it not time that maybe we had a Netflix documentary or drama series even about things like the grooming gang scandal or about the threats posed to women and girls by illegal migrants? All of those things. Would that shape public policy? I suspect not. Let's talk about the real world consequences of these rules though. So firstly, there's the risk to privacy. If you have to hand over your personal documents just to use a website, you're creating a massive honeypot for hackers and criminals. That's the big point here. Data breaches happen all the time. Once your information is out there, you can't get it back. And for a lot of people, it is the nightmare scenario, isn't it? Let's be honest. If your entire internet history is available for every single person to find out online, it might not be the best thing in the world. And dare I say, it might have the reverse effect as well. So we've seen things, for example, like with smoking in Britain, where they're trying to make it as expensive and as difficult as possible for people to get hold of cigarettes in the name of public health. Well, what happens? more people buy illegal cigarettes. More people buy them under the counter, cheap foreign fags, and then they don't actually stop smoking. So if you look at it here, what do you think people are going to do? Are they going to go on the dark web? Are they going to try and find a way to access, encrypted internet spaces and be plunged maybe into even more harmful content? Secondly, there is that risk of free speech. If platforms are forced to suppress anything that might be deemed harmful, we'll just end up with a bland, sanitized internet where only the most anodyne content is allowed. And again, I will just say this. Do you not think that will breed more hatred and resentment? Do you not think if people feel silenced because they are silenced, people feel like they can't talk about controversial views because they can't talk about them anymore? What actually happens there? Seriously. Do you not think they just get angrier? It makes it more likely to kick off? Controversial opinions, political dissent, even dark humour. Well, they're all at risk of being swept away. Thirdly, there's the risk to innovation. Small companies and startups simply won't be able to afford the cost of compliance. The big tech giants will survive, of course, they always do, but the next generation of British entrepreneurs will be shut out before they even get started. This is about the future of the internet, it's about the future of free speech, it's about the future of our democracy, actually. If we allow these rules to pass unchallenged, we may wake up one day and find the open, free internet that we took for granted has vanished, replaced by a digital panopticon where every move is watched, every word is weighed, every citizen is just a number on a database. And again, what about your physical freedom? We've already seen people sentenced to long terms in prison in this country for things that they put online. Some of them mistakenly, some of them misguided. But did it really need a big prison sentence? What do you think happens if we roll out all of these rules and regs? Because once it starts, it will not stop. I'm very sympathetic to people who think that children need more protection online. I do think that children do indeed need protection. But is this not treating a symptom of a problem and not the problem itself, i.e. people who are sex criminals or groomers or anything like that? Is there not a better way to clamp down on them without impacting every single one of us every time we decide to log onto the internet? Well, I don't think we should be letting all of these rules and regs happen. I think you should stand up, speak out, defend your digital freedom before it's too late. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Patrick Christys. Please do comment below and don't forget to subscribe to GB News YouTube for more.